Welcome to Thrive America. I'm your host, Brent Brooks. Today, I am joined by book author, speaker, entrepreneur in the truest sense of the word, Joyce Bone. Joyce, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brett. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, Joyce, thanks so much for being a guest here on Thrive America. We really appreciate it. And before we get started with your Millionaire Mom Mindset, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, great. Well, I have bought, sold, built over 30 businesses in my entrepreneurial career. I'm most well known for the one that I grew from 0 to 50 million in 18 months and took public on NASDAQ, and that business was called Earth Care. And it ultimately got up to 125 million in revenue. So people are always like, how'd you do that? So I talk to people about how I achieved that, and it is principles, and it is thriving through making good choices. And then now I run millionairemoms.com, which is a social network for entrepreneurial women, and we have men on the site as well. Those empowered ones that aren't afraid to hang with the ladies. And what we do is we encourage and educate, inspire all entrepreneurs around the world. We have members in different countries. And so what we strive to do is to help each person figure out what their ideal life looks like and help them achieve that through business, through being an entrepreneur.
Well, great, Joyce. You've prepared here a fantastic 5 to Thrive that you're calling the Millionaire Mom Mindset. And your first principle here is stand in their shoes. Can you tell us what this means?
Well, when I talk about standing in other people's shoes, you have to figure out what it is that the other person that you're dealing with is trying to accomplish, because it's really, in any part of life, it's a negotiation. So if you're trying to sell somebody, for example, I'll use Women versus Men. Women Certified is a program where I teach people how to sell to women specifically. In that case, women, their sales cycle is like a circle, whereas men are more like stair-step, linear. There's a totally different approach to how to accomplish your goal of selling whatever your service or product is. For women, you need to collaborate, you need to use emotional words, you need to give them information, make sure they understand it, share success stories of other customers that you've worked with. Whereas with men, many times it's, what's the best price, what's the best terms, I'm in or I'm out. It's just a totally different approach. And I use that as an example of standing in other people's shoes. Another example is negotiations, or in business trying to get funding. I'll use my own story as an example here. When I was looking for an investor for my business, I went and spoke to my old boss. He was very wealthy. He'd built and sold many businesses. And I knew that he did not need more money. He had as much money as he could ever want. So I approached it differently. I thought more intuitively, well, what would appeal to him? And I'm like, well, he's the ultimate entrepreneur. He's just amazing individual, but he's never reached the brass ring of business, which is taking a company public. And I was also playing to the trends at the time. This was back in 1996. IPOs were all the rage, and that was kind of like the ultimate goal, right? Was to build a company and take it public. So that's how I approached him. I said, what if we built a business from the get-go that we knew that we would take public, much like what he had experienced, but instead of being the person that sold his company, we would be the company that went out and bought small mom and pops. And then we'd get to critical mass and then go public. And that got his mind turning. If I had said, hey, how about another 50 million, or whatever the number would have been, that wouldn't have, he lived on a beautiful farm with a 13,000 square foot home. He didn't need any more money, but this really got him thinking. And then I spent the next 6 months feeding him information. I created a business plan. I did the due diligence, didn't neglect, the money side of it, because all investors want to know, how much money am I going to make? What's the risk I'm taking? So I did all that, but the initial approach was to figure out what would appeal to him. And that's what I encourage other people to do. Instead of thinking, me, what do I need? Think them, what do they need? How can I be of service? And just kind of have a different approach to doing business, that I kind of take more of a servant approach.
That's great. Your second talking point here is establish yourself as an expert. What do you mean by this?
In today's marketplace, there's so much clutter. You have to rise to the top. You have to be recognized for being the best of the best at what you do. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, you don't go wide, you drill deep. You become an expert on one topic, maybe two, that's in your wheelhouse. And then the most effective way that I've found to leverage my story and my ability to get out into the marketplace is to write a book. So somehow it's magical. When you write a book, people want you to come and speak, they want you to come and talk, and it's just the easiest way to gain instant credibility. When you're writing a book, there are different options out there. You can self-publish, you can try to get in one of the big publishing houses, or you can go through a company like Morgan James Publishing, which is a hybrid. So you get into all the bookstores, but it increases your odds of getting published. And I work with them, and I can bring authors in, and I can help get people published. So that was the first order of business. The second thing is, I encourage everybody to create their own blog talk radio show. That is the easiest way to open doors and get past gatekeepers. If you have a radio show and you want to meet somebody, then it's Joyce Bone with the Millionaire Moms radio show calling. It's not Joyce Bone, will you buy my marketing services calling. I mean, there's a totally different reaction to that. And then once you do a radio show, you can then take the content, create a transcript, then distribute that as articles, ebooks. I wrote my book, Millionaire Moms, The Art of Raising a Business and a Family at the Same Time, by interviewing other millionaire moms. I interviewed about 75 to 100 of them, and I put 35 of them in the book. Well, guess what? When I was going through that process, I made all these friends. I made all these connections, and those women have helped open doors for me in other areas. So, they're lifting me up with them. If you come to a relationship and you're offering value, who's not going to want you in their world? If I say to you, Brent, how can I help you? Instead of, what can you give me? It's a totally different mindset, and people appreciate that.
Joyce, you're giving me some good ideas. I've often thought about writing a book about all the things and principles that I'm learning here on the show and putting them all into one place, a book. Maybe you can help me there. All right, your next principle here is hire a coach.
When I suggest that you hire a coach, it's because it's concentrated power. I mean, you're dealing with somebody that has gone before you and knows some of the pitfalls and obstacles that you're going to run into. And you can really short circuit the time that it takes to be successful by aligning yourself with a coach that can help you get there much faster. And it'll be less frustrating as a result. So, I've worked with coaches, and I really do encourage others, because, look at Olympic athletes. Look at the highest paid CEOs. They're not doing it on their own. They're surrounding themselves with a team. And I believe in surrounding yourself with a team. Now, that team can be your circle of influence, the 5 people that you spend the most time with, and that's important as well. But there's something about having a coach that you're paying money to help you, so it's focused. You can have mastermind groups, and I do encourage that, where you get together with other people and you can talk through things. But a coach is there specifically for you to help you get to the next level. So I always believe in modeling there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. Model success. It's everywhere. It's all around us. All you have to do is tap into it. And a coach can get you there faster.